And now, the video all three of you have been waiting for, the 60-day update of the large classic Saddleback Leather briefcase. So I've found over the last additional month of using this that I find myself looking for more and more excuses to bring this thing with me places. I'll specifically try and find things to bring with me so that I can have an excuse to bring it. Which means that I'm constantly leaving little piles of stuff everywhere because I'll have like my work stuff in it, my church stuff, my play stuff. So I will constantly be emptying it and filling it up and bringing it with me places. And so it means I'm leaving piles of stuff everywhere because I want to use the same bag. Okay, so right now it is in my church loadout mode. So let me just unload it real quick. Alright, so one-handed it's still actually pretty hard to open this sucker. Okay, so this is just a really light church loadout. This is our manual for teaching the kids. And scriptures. And then just some other cables and such like. Alright, here it is empty. You can see that the inside's getting some wear in it. Some scratches and such in there. The little secret pocket kind of bends weird, so it doesn't look super secret. Kind of bends up on the edges there. Also you can see that it's getting some wear on the inside. This little thing, I found that when I walk around it kind of dangles around, so when I have the key on there I just kind of shove it in there or down there to keep it quiet. Alright, a quick note on the belts on these guys. So I noticed that when I'm carrying it around, sometimes these little things will just go like that. And so it means if I'm walking down a crowded hallway, I got these like pokey outy things that could possibly grab people. So I either just go like that, which ends up putting like a dent right here. There we go. So there's a dent right there from this. And same thing on this side. See a dent right there from it. So what I usually end up doing is if it's doing this crazy thing and making the dent there, or if it's going like that and stabbing little kids in the face, then I'll usually just grab that and go like that. Best way to carry it around so it doesn't look crazy. Okay, and then if you look right here, this little guy, just where it rests right there, it's kind of getting all smashed up right there. I don't know if you can see that. Same thing on the other side. Pull it out a second. There we go. Okay. So you can see just by resting there, it's kind of getting all smashed and frayed a little bit. But of course it's going to survive because it has these guys. So when I put this thing in backpack mode and I carry it around for several miles at a time, what I will do is I will pull these guys out like such. You can see how they've worn. Pull these guys out and then buckle them. Alright, so I have this thing on the 10th hole for tightness, and you'll notice that when you pull the belt tight, since the belt is actually separate, that it kind of squeezes the bag like that. And so it won't actually stand up as well when it's all squeezed like that. You put it through the first belt loop, pull it easy enough, and the second one is actually really, really, really tight. Like so. Yeah. Gotta kind of shove it. There we go. So there you have it with all three straps on. And then I don't really know what to do with these. So while you're carrying it in backpack mode, it kind of just looks like that. So I haven't really found somewhere to shove these yet. Because you could go underneath like that, like this one. But this thing is so tight. We'll try it. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculously tight right here. So I don't know, it's probably not a good option. Anyway, what I've been doing so far is just letting it dangle like that while I have it in backpack mode. So another thing that you'll notice with these belts is that since they can just slide all the way around, since they can slide through here and through these holes and around here, that they might be at different lengths, kind of making the bag like more lopsided in different ways. And sometimes it would make me even wonder if they actually are the same size. So I'm actually going to take them out and measure them right now to make sure that they're the same size. Okay, so we got this guy unbuckled. Pull it around there. Basically just pull it through here. One thing I'm noticing too is the more times I take these belts out, this little hole here is getting more and more baggy. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you can see. Let's see if I can focus it. Focus. There you go. Okay. You can see that it's just getting a little bigger and stretched out right there each time you pull the belt out. So we'll take the other belt out now. Okay, the last part is you just pull it all the way through here, like that. And it doesn't really scuff it up because these little loop guys are actually lined with pigskin, like the inside of the bag, which is super cool. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, now we're just pulling the second belt out, like so. This is the one that, for whatever crazy reason, is having a lot of wear. Right there, it must be how I set it down, or how I throw it in the car or something. Alright, so here we have the two belts from the briefcase. So let's line these guys up. So for whatever reason, the one on the left side, when you're looking at it, just is getting a lot darker and shinier. Alright, let's see if these guys are the same size. Looks like the left one's a little bit longer, but I'm going to measure them. Just make sure. I might just be lining these up like a noob. Nope. They're probably the exact same length. Let's try it here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so they're probably the exact same length. One might be a tiny bit longer. Looks like they're lined up exactly. So I still think the left one's just a tiny bit longer. Anyway, so that's how it is when it's made by hand. And here you can see the wear. They're actually discoloring a lot differently. I don't know if it's because the way I set it down in my car or the way I carry it or what. But there's how the belts are wearing so far. Here's the back side of the belts. So you can see this is the bottom. This is where the bottom of the briefcase goes. So that's where the double stitched thing goes in the middle. And it looks like there's some scars on the leather right there from the cow. So that one's a little darker on the inside. Okay, and here's how the bag looks without the straps. I know some people want to take them off so it's not as heavy or doesn't look as crazy. So you got these big fat belt loops on there. You can see where the belts have the stitching on them is kind of scuffing the leather a little bit. Here's how the back looks without the belts. You can see it's a little scuffed from when I pull it tight or carry it or whatever. It's kind of scuffing it down in there, as you can see. The double stitching is scuffing the leather. But yeah, this is how the back looks without the belts on. Looks better than the front does anyway. Then here's the bottom. See, there's some little bit of wear on there. Get close in there. There you go. There's that. And that kind of wears it right there. And I've set this bag down like a great amount of times, and this thing is, you can tell it's getting shiny, but it's still really holding up very well. So to put the belts back in, it's super easy. Just reverse the process, shove it down there, roll it over, pull it through, all the way till it's down there. This thing kind of wants to stop it when you pull it through, but you can kind of force it through so the rivets go through like that if you want it to be a little bit tighter. And you flip it over, shove it through there. It's definitely getting way easier to do this the more times I take the belt out. But you still kind of have to shove it all the way through. So this part, when it's through here and here, you kind of want to be careful right here, because if you pull this part too tight, it's gonna smash the front and it's gonna stand up weird. So you kind of want to make sure and pull on that, and then pull it snug but not too tight so that it doesn't leave a big loop on the bottom right there. That looks pretty good. You kind of just pull it a little bit tighter. Okay, then you pull it through. I've been going underneath like this because I like how that looks better, but I've seen pictures on the website or from other people where it looks like this, which can look okay, I guess, but I think it's weird. And then eventually these are going to be flapping all over the place, so definitely not into that. Alright, a quick side note, when I was reaching through to put this guy through, when I was reaching in there to grab the belt, my knuckles stretched the leather just a tiny bit from going underneath there. See that? When I push my finger, how it lightens it? My knuckles did that right there. And there. I'll do it again so you can see it. You just kind of push with your finger and it lightens it up. So, there's that. Alright, now I'm going to talk about this pad here. The strap and the pads. These guys, so you can see how they've worn over the last month of usage. One thing you should know is that the more broken in they get, the looser this part gets. And so when I'm wearing it, the pad can slide around easier than it used to. It used to be really stiff in one spot. So that's just something to note. You can see the belt's getting darker. Anyway, there's these pads. Here's how they've worn. Getting darker. This one's more shiny and this one's more has the wrinkles in it. Alright, so when I wear it like this, kind of cross-body like this, like so, there's this part on my back, like right there, that digs in, and I'm always grabbing this thing right here and twisting it right there and twisting it because I think the strap's on backwards. But what it is this guy right here. That thing digs into my back. So even in crossbody mode, which is the most comfortable, see how thick that is compared to the rest? So this part right there digs right into my back. So I'm hoping this thing will soften up, but it is like rock hard right now. So when I carry it crossbody, that thing digs into my back. Okay, and then there's this part where I'm still continuing to just shove it in there. I actually found this month while I was using it, this thing hardly ever popped out. So this part right here must be getting stretched out because it fits in there really, really tight. I definitely like how that looks better than wrapping it. Okay, and when I use it in backpack mode with this thing here, you might notice this thing's going forward instead of just hanging backwards where you need it when you do backpack mode. I've started storing the O-ring forward, like so, because when I'm carrying it over my shoulder, this thing will kind of dig into me, because you can see right here, where it's been rubbing on my side, you can see where it's all shiny and dark. This guy right here digs into me, so I've been just keeping it on the other side, because it's getting kind of crazy. Also in backpack mode, this guy is the one that digs into my back, but it's softening up. And if you loosen this a little bit, which I don't like doing, because I like to just be able to put it into backpack mode really fast. If I loosen this down a few, then that doesn't dig in as much. Alright, as far as comfort goes, when I'm carrying it with a full heavy load in there, usually I can have it on one shoulder, have this just on one shoulder, as in the same shoulder that the bag's on, for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then that shoulder starts really aching. So I'll put it over my head so it's crossbody, and then I can wear it like that for about 20 minutes to half an hour, like standing up and walking around, before it starts to really hurt. And then what I'll do is I'll just change shoulders. And And one thing I've started to notice, that when this thing's fully loaded, and this is the part that's grinding on my hip, that my hip actually starts hurting. And so I've started packing it more selectively. So because the bag is so heavy, I actually pick and choose what I put in it a lot more. So now I just carry like my charger in the front pocket because it goes perfect underneath these guys. And then I actually got a smaller work laptop with a little pen that you can sign on the screen. So I no longer carry a signature pad. So this guy goes in there. It's only like a 12.5-inch one, and it's a lot lighter. And I actually took the disk drive out. It had an optical drive right here, but I took it out because I wanted to save on weight. So I love this bag, but it is very, very heavy. And so I will just put just a few folders that I absolutely need that day. My computer, my charger, and then of course all my notebooks and Cliff Bars and everything, and cables. Because this thing is heavy and my hips start to hurt when it rests on my hip when I carry it. But because I now carry a slimmer laptop and a smaller load, the giant bag starts to seem a bit excessive. Enter carabiner mode. So right now, the bag is well, we know it's 9 inches wide from the website because it says that. So it's really wide. And speaking of wide, when I go into busy meetings or busy hallways or a crowded auditorium or something with this sucker on, it's actually really, really bulky. So you have to really manage where it is because it's hard to squeeze in between people. So once again, carabiner mode. Here we go. Okay, so I saw one person online connect this and this with carabiners, and I would give them credit, but I forgot who it was, so that's fine. And I didn't do it at first because the bag was so incredibly stiff that I felt like I would just have to smash it. I'd have to kneel on it to get it. But I've since perfected it. So here's how you do it. Okay, you want to make sure and put the carabiner in like this, with the little grabby guy facing away from the bag so it doesn't scuff it up. So the smooth part is the part rubbing against the bag. Then you crank it down like that, attach it there, then the smooth part's rubbing the bag, and then you do the same thing on the other side. Alright, there we go. Carabiner mode. So you'll notice it's way thinner now. Way thinner. You can like grab it in one hand. So you're like, well, why'd you still get such a big bag if you're just going to smash it like that? Well, because then it's still versatile. You take the carabiners off and take it for an overnight trip. But you may have noticed in carabiner mode that these things get longer. So all you do is you just crank it longer here and shove that longer there. So you pull it tighter right here, which gives you more slack, but then it tightens it up on the bottom, so it still looks really natural. Alright, and there we have it. So this middle one too, you go up one more loop, and then check out how thin it is from the top now. It's tiny. It's like a tiny briefcase. So if you really want it to feel more slim, look at that. So small. If you want it to feel more slim, you can do carabiner mode, but it definitely doesn't stand up as well. Let's test it. Okay, here we go. We're going to test this guy. Oh, not bad. So obviously if it didn't stand up, that would be kind of lame, like if you're in a meeting and it's falling over all the time. But it looks like it can handle it. So there's how it looks on the bottom. So now you just have a thinner briefcase. But you can feel good that you bought yourself the large, because you can still do overnighters and pack it really full if you need to. But it still looks good in carabiner mode. So whoever invented that, good for you, but the person who invented it didn't show it in this much detail. And now you wonder, well, how useful is it on the inside in carabiner mode? Like, can you still use it? I'll show you. So it's really not bad at all when in carabiner mode on the inside. The back is almost exactly the same. It's a tiny bit more squished, but the bottom still has a dent in it, so you can rest a laptop in there. The front pocket, though, is the one that's changed. You can still have your business cards or pens in there. That doesn't matter, and this isn't affected. But you see the bottom, there's just kind of a big wrinkle down there. But you can still fit stuff in there. So you can still fit a folder in there if you needed to. So it still fits just fine. It doesn't even pop over the top, see? So basically you just lose a little bit of space in the front pocket. You got this big wrinkly thing right there. But you really don't lose a lot of space. Then of course the laptop with the same amount of folders, and the charger still goes in the front beautifully. But you just have a more slim back. So you don't have to get the thin briefcase and then cry when it's not big enough for your overnighter. Just do carabiner mode. Alright. Okay, one thing to note about carabiner mode is right here. It's kind of wrinkling up really big. So it's kind of discoloring this spot there and that spot there, which is not a big deal because if you got the tobacco color, then you're fine with it discoloring a little bit. One thing to note though, that in carabiner mode, when you have it in backpack mode with the strap through here, it's actually more comfortable because this doesn't dig into your back anymore because it's bent down like that. Like so. You see how it has a curve to it now? So carabiner mode was actually really awesome to do in backpack mode, which I did. This bag has been an additional 10 plus miles in backpack mode since my last video. Just to test it out, and carabiner mode is significantly more comfortable than normal because it pulls this down and then it's this rounded part touching your back instead of this sharp edge. So there, take that for what it's worth. Okay, just a side note, carabiner mode gets you down to about 5.5, 6 inches wide, so that's about the normal width of your standard briefcase or laptop case. So during this last month of using it, I did get some more compliments on it. Not as many as the first month, but I think that's because all my coworkers already complimented it, and it would be weird to just continue to do so. So my state boss, once again, complimented it. He always says something and points it out to other people and says that he wants it, and then I'm going to give it to him and stuff. So that's cool when your boss compliments it. But one thing I noticed is that people get really weirded out when I start talking about it just because they just don't get how awesome it is. I start telling them there's like the dog leash material in here so it doesn't stretch, and you can just see their eyes glaze over. So obviously they're not as excited about it as I am, which is okay. Speaking of being excited about it though, a little bit to a creepy level, sometimes I will take my bag to bed with me and I'll put it in the corner of the bed and I'll put like my glasses in there or whatever, but mostly it's just I'm like a kid with a new toy and I'm still excited about it. And then during the night I'll lean over and sniff it like this. Oh yeah, it's good. Anyway, so yeah, that's super weird. Definitely weird. Not everyone does that, but like I said, I'm like a kid with a new toy. It goes with me everywhere. So on a few of my 2-mile adventures with this thing in backpack mode, it has been raining lightly. And when I get back home and the rain dries, there's no discoloration at all from the rain. So it's been in the rain a couple times, just very, very light rain. It's also been in a crazy blizzard, several degrees below freezing. And when I bring it back in, there's just a bunch of water on these rings from the condensation. And then the bag feels like wet. And then when you smell it, it smells like an old soccer cleat, so it actually kind of stinks when it gets wet, like an old soccer cleat, which kind of is sad. Doesn't smell as delicious. But it held up really well in blizzard and in rain and in freezing temperatures. Okay, I definitely agree with Saddleback Leather that its ugliest day is the first day it arrived. I look back at my old videos, and I'm like, man, what is that ugly bag? But now, I look at this thing, and I'm like, you look good. Another side note about Saddleback Leather is I sent my backpack back to them and they've already refunded me. My bank hasn't shown it yet, but it's on its way, so they were extremely helpful to do a refund for me on the other bag. So a note on that is their customer service is still absolutely superb. Should you need to work with them and for whatever reason you need to take it back. Another thing is, check out how dark that is. That happened after I took it out in the like a blizzard. This thing all of a sudden was like super dark, so I don't know what the deal with that is. Sometimes when you're driving with this thing, all these D-rings will be like hitting each other like this. And it sounds like someone's like chattering their metal teeth in your car, and then you look over and it's just your bag and you're like, stop it. So you grab that and move it and it's quiet. Anyway, so that's kind of weird when you're driving. So one thing my wife and I noticed about the other videos online about these is some of my very favorite videos of people doing saddleback videos that have tons and tons of views. They're like from 3 years ago, and there's never been another post since. And so my wife thinks it's because the bags just the novelty wears off, the bag gets heavy, and they actually don't use it as much, so they don't have anything to say. So they stop making videos. So the one thing about this bag that actually still bothers me out of everything is this guy right here. Still bugs me that it's crimped and not welded. Focus, you. There you go. Still bugs me that it's crimped, because it wouldn't be such a big deal if it was crimped with the rounded edges like this, but this other side, this side, is like really, really sharp metal, so it totally bites into leather. So when I put it into backpack mode, I actively like turn it this way so that the strap just touches this end and not that end, because it actually cuts it up. Alright, here's what it looks like in more natural lighting. Looks like this. So this is what it looks like in the dreary world outside right now. So there you have it, 60-day update of the large tobacco brown Saddleback Leather classic briefcase. One thing I've noticed is a lot of the comments on my videos. It's tons of fun. This is a fun community to be involved in. And a couple of you have complimented my videos. Thank you very much for that. And it's fun to be able to answer questions and talk back and forth and help people try and decide what color, what size, or what model they want to get. So it's definitely been really enjoyable talking with you guys about the bags, and it's been fun to watch your videos on what bags you have. So keep it up.
That's all I have to say about that.
P.S. Look at the pores of the pigskin. Isn't that awesome? It's like looking at your arm. You can see the pores in it. So cool. Thanks for watching.